I also didn't really know what was happening, so I didn't feel comfortable talking about it. And so I just kind of kept it to myself. And then at some point got to finals and I just had this like debilitating panic attack.
You're listening to Immer Weiter. What's the most difficult thing that you've had to deal with or overcome, and how did you go about that process? The beginning of a revolution in the way we talk about mental health. We're live. Tamara, thank you so much for coming on the show. You were the very first person that I've interviewed that is not one of my friends, so...
Wow. Well, we're about to be friends. So.
That's true. So thank you very much for coming on. And if you want to tell anyone listening or watching on YouTube kind of your story, McGill, and what you're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit about myself. So I graduated from McGill last year. I studied marketing and digital innovation. And basically I'm from Montreal, born and raised, and I decided to go to CEGEP and I did Marianopolis before coming to McGill. My sort of peak of confidence and really myself, I came into myself really when I was at McGill. I got involved with a bunch of stuff. I was a case competition girl. I was also the executive director of something called Fashion Business Uncovered, which is a fashion business conference. And then after my first year rather, I started recruiting to go into consulting, and I discovered it was like my dream job. So I ended up doing that, and now I work in consulting at a Big Four firm.
Sweet. And you also have just launched a platform called be.boldest, which I really want to get into.
Yes.
But before that, I actually have a question because I'm super interested in consulting as well. I'm actually working a consulting internship right now.
Oh.
I like a boutique firm. But
good for you. I didn't even know that. Cool.
But it's because I'm curious as to what attracts people to consulting, because it seems to be different things for different people. So I'm curious because I want to talk about your platform, what you're up to now. But I'm curious as to what like specifically draws you to consulting.
Okay, so this is a good story actually. So I'm glad you asked. So why I got into consulting, essentially, I went into McGill thinking that I wanted to do fashion marketing. And I was like, okay, this is it. Like, I found my thing, love fashion. And what ended up happening is I got a job at Michael Kors, an internship in marketing after my first year. And I like literally hit the jackpot. It was an amazing
first year internship.
Right. No, but yeah. I killed myself. Like I had like 3 rounds. Like I literally read their entire annual report for like a week. I did like I treated it like it was an exam or something. Yeah. And I ended up liking the internship a lot. But 2 things kind of not rubbed me the wrong way, but just showed me that it wasn't really the thing for me. And the first thing was, I remember sitting, my desk was located right next to the conference room, and I was kind of away from everyone else, and I was right next to the president's office and then the conference room. And I would be doing these sort of, internship tasks, like nothing bad, but also nothing super interesting, like a lot of data entry and such. And what ended up happening is that they would have these meetings, these like strategic meetings, and I would start like kind of listening in. Like I wasn't wearing headphones or anything, and I started like listening in, and then I realized like, okay, no, that's what I want to do. Like I want to have these high level discussions. I want to look for the future of a company. I want to work with like high level executives, all these things.
You want what you do to have like a very measurable impact kind of and decision making. Yeah.
Exactly. Because I was doing these things like building out like what do you call them, like mood boards, like cutting out pictures, and that's super fun and that's great, and it's very like fashionable and what you would think of Devil Wears Prada, but like was I making an impact on the organization? Like no. And it would take me 5 to 7 years to get to a role where I would be able to make an impact, and that wasn't for me. And then the second thing that sort of put me off from the fashion industry, and I think this is comes back to like my anxiety or my insecurities, which I think is interesting to tie into here, is that every time I would have conversations with people about the roles that I was doing, or, oh yeah, I'm going into fashion, people would be like, oh yeah, like, oh, okay, sweetie, like, okay, fashion.
So they take you less seriously.
No one took me seriously. And I've always been, like top of my class, like really on top of my shit. Like that's just the person that I am. And that's kind of the thing. Like, I was so sick of people not taking me seriously because of the field that I wanted to go into. And so after all of this, I was sort of like, okay, what can I do that A, people will take me seriously, and then B, that will allow me to have the maximum impact on an organization early on in my career. And I was like, okay, consulting. There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I started recruiting directly after that summer, and I was like so excited about it. And now, like, I literally get to work with like the C-suite of like top companies, like top luxury fashion companies, which is like my dream. And I know that down the line I'll probably end up specializing in that industry, but never again will someone not take me seriously or not give me cred because I have this like legit consulting background.
Yeah, your job is to come in and be the person to be taken seriously and
to
help them out.
Yeah, so
that makes a lot of sense. So what so you're doing consulting full time. Mm-hmm. So then how do you get your like fashion kind of like fix, you know, if that's a passion of yours?
Okay, so I love fashion, but I also really love personal finance.
Okay, that's totally fair.
And so my fix used to be like buying a lot of clothes and like getting into that, but now like that's I've given myself this goal to save 50% of everything I make, and so like 50%? Fashion. Yeah.
Damn, that's awesome.
Oh,
that's
I budget everything.
That's crazy.
It's a little bit extra, but I've kind of cut back on just like takeout and then also clothing. Totally fair. Also for sustainability reasons, but anyway, so no longer doing that. I was writing articles on Medium for a while where I would do some research because I like to stay up to date with like Business of Fashion or just like Retail Dive, like all these fashion related publications because I'm interested in it. But yeah, so basically I'm trying to position myself at work as a marketing transformation retail specialist so that I can work on projects that are focused on that. Yeah.
So it kind of ties the two together in a way.
Yeah, but it's like not as easy because there's limited projects. Yeah. But I'm working on it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And then that's awesome. So you also recently have founded Boldest.
Yes.
How would you describe Boldest? Like what kind of an operation is that?
Well, Boldest is currently a social media community focused on women in consulting, and basically, as a woman in consulting, there are a lot of communities within the organizations you work for. So like Deloitte will have one, McKinsey, BCG, like KPMG, all of these companies have like women at X company. Mm-hmm. And obviously there's a lot of branding and PR that goes into these big companies. Yeah. And so everyone says like, oh, these companies are super like female forward, and they are, and you have any opportunity. But why is it then that the partners and the senior leadership are still like 70% male? Like that doesn't make sense, right? And when it comes down to it, I have had the chance to have these exceptional mentors and these exceptional women in my life, like in and outside of consulting, that have really pushed me forward and sponsored me throughout my journey. And I'm just at the beginning of my career, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, I've had these incredible women sponsor me throughout my career, but I know that not everyone has had that. And I think if you're kind of given a male mentor at work just straight off the bat, you don't have a lot of the conversations that someone like myself could have. Like my like main mentor, I guess, just had a baby last year, and I literally go over and like meet her baby, and like I'm able to see how she deals with being a mom and all of these things. So I think it's just giving people that opportunity, giving women the opportunity to see that there are other people like them out there who are succeeding, and just being really frank and candid about it. And then kind of the other side of this is consulting. Everyone kind of knows it's a thing that you stay in for like 2 to 3 years before you do the real thing that you're going to do with your career, if that makes sense.
No, for sure.
And I think there are a ton of exit opportunities, and when you're a consultant, you're kind of vetted. Like everyone knows that if you worked at like a big like an MBB firm, like you're a good candidate. Yeah. And so I think there's a huge opportunity for finding and recruiting really qualified candidates for like industries coming out of consulting. So
I mean, it's really amazing that you like identified that not everyone has had like that opportunity to have like those woman mentors that you have relationships with is really cool.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? So like Boldest is trying to kind of have that same, I guess, less, not like institutional, but you're trying to have that same impact of showing other women who might be entering the workforce.
Yeah.
Basically being like, here are examples, here are people who have come from where you are and look at where they are now type thing as well.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, you're trying to not do the job, but you're like adding on to that.
Adding on to that. Yeah. So also informing them on topics that kind of might be swept under the rug in the context of like institutionalized PR. So things like the glass ceiling, or like female mentorship, or like I literally just wrote a post about like the queen bee syndrome today. Well, I didn't just write it today, but I posted it today.
Yeah.
And basically how like some women who are higher up the ranks are actually going to push down other women because it's like the single token woman effect, where you have one person at the top, so they don't want to support junior women to like also rise up the ranks.
They feel threatened, maybe.
They feel super threatened.
Okay.
But the reality is that this is a syndrome that's sort of perpetrated by men, like the queen bee syndrome. You don't have like the male bee syndrome, like the king bee syndrome. But then also you find, so I've done some research, and essentially when there's women at the top, it actually encourages more women to rise up the ranks, whereas when you have a chief executive officer that's male, that actually hinders the chance of more women rising to like C-suite levels, C-suite roles. So it's super interesting.
That makes sense. Yeah, you see a lot of the boys clubs type shit where it's kind of looking out for their, like, I guess, younger peers. I've seen that at a startup that I worked at.
Oh, it's so common, and like no one talks about it, but it's like I've experienced it. Everyone like, and sorry, I don't want to go on a tangent
Absolutely
here, but
no
I
worries.
literally had a
Please.
conversation with one of my mentors, and we were talking, because we're both kind of like I've experienced it in the past, and I was like, oh, like how do we deal with these things? Like how do we deal with boys clubs? And she was like, oh yeah, you're right. Like we're talking about it, having a great discussion. She's like, okay, let's go ask the other women in our lives about this. And it's like, we're never going to change anything if we just have like brunch and talk about the fact that we're excluded from like meetings. Like what? You know?
Yeah, that makes sense. But that's, I guess those institutional PR operations of women in X can't really, like, they can't shoot themselves in the foot. I guess they can't really be like, we have a problem, so like we have to fix it. That's like where you can kind of, I guess you can, with your platform, you can be more direct, which is more helpful, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah.
Not to say that, like, obviously you need that, but they're kind of hamstringed in a way. They like have a kind of limited space to like move in, I would think.
Yes, and I think like my background in marketing makes me understand these things a lot better. Like I actually see what they're trying to do, so I'm able to be like, no, like let's not do that, you know.
Yeah.
So
Sweet.
Yeah.
And how have you found like running Boldest so far? Like how long's it been going on? How long have you been doing it for?
Like a couple of weeks, like not super long. I started with YouTube videos, but now I've decided to more focus on the Instagram, because I felt like it was more than just about myself, because YouTube's great, but it
I've seen you've been featuring people, right?
I wanted to start the features, and then I saw that we got such great traction, and people were reaching out, and everyone was really excited about it. And so although like love talking for 15 minutes, and like I think it's good because I created some good resources about recruitment and all these things, I like want to use it more as a supplemental in time, and then focus on the Instagram. But yeah, it's been a lot of work. I taught myself graphic design like on Creative Cloud. And
that's amazing. Congratulations. That's sweet.
Thank you. Well, yeah, it's a lot of work. It's basically like my Saturdays are my boldest days, and I prep all of my posts, all of my stories. And then every night, like I finish work at like 8 or 9. So I like do that for the rest of the night after I work out.
Busy schedule.
Yeah. I took a break this week. I was like, how do I do it all? But it's fine. I'm getting back into it, and I love it. So it's fine. That's how.
That actually makes me think of a topic which the last 2 people that I've had on the show I also ask, and I have my own kind of ways that I'm experimenting with all the time and adjusting. So like for people who have similarly packed schedules, with that limited time, or in terms of when to take time for yourself, how do you take care of yourself? What's like your favorite way of like self-care in a sense?
Yeah. Okay. So I want to preface this by saying that anyone who knows me really well who listens to this is going to be like, Tamara is the worst person at taking time for herself. This is something I've been working on a lot, and I don't do much of it if I'm being super transparent. But when I do, and I'm trying to more, I have given myself the non-negotiable of working out every single day, and I just do it, and it's now become part of my schedule. I've been doing it for like 8-9 months now.
Oh, shit. Sweet.
I mean, not every day, like running 10K. Like sometimes I'll do yoga,
but
you know?
just like working a sweat up is super, super good for you. And
yes,
like,
and
absolutely.
I like disconnect completely, and I like don't look at my phone during that time. So that's definitely self-care. I think also small acts of self-care, like when I was in university, like when I was in McGill, I would literally roll out of bed at like, I would go to bed at like 4 every single night, and I would roll out of bed at like
getting ready for consulting life. Eh?
Yeah, well, it's actually, I'm working less now than I ever have, for the past 5 years, so decently.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would roll out of bed at like 8:20 and then like run to class every day, and I like wouldn't put makeup on, and I wouldn't get dressed. I would literally wear leggings every single day, and that's fine. Like I still don't wear makeup. Like I'm not even wearing makeup now, but it's more like taking the time to feel good and to like feel like myself has been a game changer for me, especially during quarantine.
Yeah. I guess there's a lot of ways that you can do self-care without, you know, like without like a bubble bath. There's in terms of like dressing a certain way, or I guess the attitude in which you're like talking to yourself, or like mentally the way that you're handling things is a form of self-care.
And just like spending time with family and friends, because I also, that was my biggest thing. I'm the worst at answering messages. I just want to wait, I'm looking at the camera. You texted me how many times? Like maybe there was 5 or 6 texts each time where I just like would not answer for days.
It's all good. You're very busy.
But I'm a very friendly person.
No,
I don't like ghost
that's
people.
true. She's very friendly. It's very friendly. No, because I was talking with Quentin, who connected us, and I was like, so you're like, Tamara's not really responding. Like, what should I do? He's just keep messaging her. Like, it's fine. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'll take your permission. You know, like I don't want to like bother you, but I was like,
I never respond, but I always pull through. And there's this girl that did this thing like recently, and it was on LinkedIn, and she like asked me for coffee or something, and then I didn't respond, and I forgot about it because I get so many messages, and she just wrote, "Hey, bumping this up," smiley face, and then pushed it to the top.
Oh, that's
and
smart.
I was like, oh my god, I need this. Like, just send me a question mark, send me 4, just like be aggressive.
Just
anyway,
put it to the top of my mind again, kind of thing.
Exactly. But doing that is like a form of self-care for me, because I love my friends, and I love like I'm very extroverted, so I can't be a hermit every day.
Totally fair. I get the feeling, seeing, sorry, I was about to say feeling family friends. I was like, that's a different conversation. But I was in terms of seeing family and friends, I like have had this thing where it's really important to me coming out of my first 3 years at McGill. I was in basically 3 different relationships. So I came into my 4th year, started September last year, and I was like, I really want to be self-sufficient. Like I really want to be able to do my own thing.
You mean single?
single, but also like not like, yes, but like self-sufficient.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You.
Like I was like, I don't want to like need someone like to be with someone right now. You know, I want to be completely able to do my own thing. And so with quarantine, like a lot of my friends left, and we were talking kind of before we record the episode about, you know, what I was dealing with in April, but I even in the last couple of weeks, I was like, I want to just like be able to fucking be alone and be fine with that. But it was like over a couple of days, I was like, fuck, I just need to see people. I'm human. Like that's totally fair. So I was kind of like, I was working on beating myself up less for just fucking needing to see people, which is totally fair. Totally. It's a very like natural thing to do. So
I love this. This is like Call Her Daddy, but for mental health. There you go.
As I told you before, I actually don't listen to.
You don't listen to Call Her Daddy?
I don't really listen to podcasts. I've listened to like 5 Tim Ferriss episodes because of the guests. You know, I listened to the one with like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Hugh Jackman, which is an amazing one, like Jamie Foxx. But I
Such
don't.
A guy thing.
Yes, yeah, 100%. But I don't really listen to podcasts. So I the only thing I know about Call Her Daddy is I like did a little bit of like I saw a little bit of headlines about like what happened with like Barstool, and like so I honestly don't really know, but I just like saw. That's when I became aware of them.
I'm gonna send you the links of my favorite ones. It's
Send me like I feel like you're about to type me up like a a Word doc of
it's gonna be an
podcast that I
email.
need to.
Yeah. It's gonna be an email.
It's like, best regards. Watch this or listen to this shit.
Oh, you think I'm kidding? I
No,
put my dates in Outlook. Like, I don't think you understand.
Yeah, I Google Calendar pretty extensively myself, but I had that conversation with one of my exes, and she's like, "I better never be in your fucking Google Calendar."
Why?
I was
if
like,
you're in
yeah,
my calendar, it's because I care
because
enough to put
exactly.
you there.
That was my train of thought.
There you
but
go.
I guess I mean I can understand your perspective as well. But fuck, what was it? Where we were talking about relationships, and the thing that I wanted to say was, it's ironic, but it makes so much sense from like this perspective, is that if you have two people who are able to be entirely independent, who are simply capable of being independent, they're naturally a relationship between two of those people is just going to be so much better than two people who are looking for something to like lean on to substitute for something that they haven't quite found themselves. Absolutely. Which is something that's like,
and then it becomes a choice. And then
yes,
like your relationship
exactly.
becomes a choice. Every day you're choosing to be with that person, and
exactly.
you know, like maybe there is something better out there, or maybe there is like whatever, like, but you're like, no, fuck that. Like, I want to be with this person. I'm happy, and I you know, and you put effort into it. And
absolutely, it's less of a choice, because I mean, if you haven't kind of figured that shit out for yourself, then if you get into a relationship, it's like you might be doing it because you just want affection, or you want validation, or XYZ, and then that you're not actually in the relationship to be with that person in your relationship to derive like this benefit, which is problematic. So another thing that I wanted to talk to you about was anxiety. One of your videos that I watched, you covered anxiety, so yeah. If you wouldn't mind just like telling me about like how that kind of came to be labeled as anxiety, because I feel like it's an important moment for someone when they realize like or accept that like this is something that needs to be dealt with, or that they might be dealing with. So I just like, if you wouldn't mind like tell me your story about anxiety, I'd be interested.
And actually in my video I kept it pretty short. I can expand a tiny bit. Essentially my anxiety really started when I was actually at Marianopolis in CEGEP, and I came into Marianopolis doing health sciences. So I wanted to be a doctor, actually, the whole 9 yards. And I went in and I was like ready to go for it. And I was coming from French school, and I didn't know anyone in this new school. I was like working in English for the first time since I was like 10. And I was also very much like intimidated. Like Marianopolis is like a fancy school where all like fancy rich kids go to. And I was like not that in any way. But essentially I ended up really struggling with the classes I was taking, and just like I liked it, but I also like did not feel like I was at the top of my game. And I remember getting an exam and I got like a 78, and I was like the girl who did not get less than like 95. And I was like, okay, I'm a failure, like I'm done now. And I ended up developing panic attacks really bad. Okay. And it was really shit. And I didn't have many friends, and I also didn't really know what was happening, so I didn't feel comfortable talking about it. And so I just kind of kept it to myself. And then at some point we got to finals, and I just had this like debilitating panic attack before my chem final. And I ended up going to see an advisor that day. Like, so basically the way the Marianopolis was done, there was like not therapists, but like counselors, like mental health counselors. And then there was like the career advisor. And I just went to like both, and they were like, you know what, maybe like science isn't for you. And also I have a fear of needles and blood, so like I just
same I mean I don't hate needles, this is really specific, but I hate like my elbow specifically.
Yeah,
like I feel super vulnerable.
I see a therapist in part to deal with my what's it called, blood test phobia. So cool, let's not talk about this.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, anyway, so panic attack, and then I was like, and they were like, maybe you shouldn't do that. And I was like, fucking what? Like, maybe it's not for me. And I was pushed my entire childhood to do sciences by my parents, who are both like in science. And so I was just like, you know what? Like, took a chance, and I was like, let me go into honors commerce. Discovered marketing, and like fell in love, absolutely. And then it was fine. And my first year, my first year at McGill, like things were fine for the first like year because I was focused on other things. And then my first year of McGill, I started working like 25 hours a week, and I was involved, and I traveled like an hour away to live at my parents.
Oh
and
shit!
so
Wait, you lived at your parents and commuted to McGill?
yeah, my
an
first
hour
year
away.
and I worked 20
Holy
to 25
shit.
hours of Banana
Oh my-
Republic,
that's
and I was
fucking
involved
crazy.
as well. I didn't have any friends though, so that was fine.
Jeez, that's still a lot though. Damn.
Yeah, no, I regret doing that. It's fine. I moved in my second year downtown, but basically once I started getting really involved in that, I had so much on my plate that I started having like mini panic attacks again, but not like full blown, but it would just be like I'd freak out and I'd get like this massive anxiety and I wasn't able to continue. And then that continued along until this summer I started at interning at a consulting firm, and I was put under like these insane situations. I would work from like 8 to 2 every day. Like I was dying. And I was working with like managers who expected a lot from me, obviously. And I started picking at my eyebrows. And that was the first time that, like, other than panic attacks, my anxiety actually took on like a physical representation.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of just didn't stop. And I continued, like, basically my eyebrows just continued being like the main focal point that my anxiety took on. Like I stopped having panic attacks, which is good, I guess, but
Yeah, it's just
yeah, it just
different
changed.
symptom, I guess.
And then that has basically continued until last summer.
Okay.
And then now I still do it sometimes, like occasionally, but I had like no eyebrows for some point there. Like it was actually fucked. Like I didn't want to leave the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a couple questions.
Yes. Hit me.
So your advisors or the counselors advisors at Marinopolis told you to maybe that science wasn't for you as a result of your the panic attacks you're having, correct?
Yeah.
So that happened to work out for you because you found something that you were interested more, but like
Yeah.
you would agree that it's kind of
fucked.
problematic
Yeah.
that like because that struck out to me. I was like shit, like they shouldn't be telling like that's not the problem.
So
you know?
I think it was more look at other options.
Yeah.
In like a sweet way.
Okay, like
but like I think also I'm someone who like I have like a really good memory, and I'm very like I'm good at writing, like I'm good at like liberal arts shit, like I really am, and math to me, I spent my whole life thinking I wasn't a girl who was good at math, and then I like discovered I was like, nah, that's bullshit, like I'm good at math. But
oh, nice.
for a long time I like prided myself on like my writing skills and my public speaking skills and all of that.
Yeah.
And so I think for something like honors commerce, it was just so easy for me. Like I was able with like 3 to 4 hours of studying a week to get like literally a 98 average, like some bullshit like that. So I think it helped with my confidence. I kind of wish I stuck it through. But at the same time, it worked out for me because I'm happy I did what I did.
Yeah, it's all worked out nicely.
But stay in school, kids.
Yes, stay in school. Very true. The one piece of old advice that's actually like kind of true.
Yeah.
And then so you said last summer you've kind of like that kind of changed for you with like your eyebrows and so is that, would you say that's like a 1-to-1 reflection of the like an improvement of the way you handle your anxiety, or like what changed kind of?
I think I put myself under less pressure than I used to. Like I have to say, like during my time at McGill, like the pressure I put myself under was fucking unnecessary. Like I killed myself to get like a 3.8 GPA. Do you know how many times I've been asked what my GPA was since I graduated? It's literally no times. Like 0 times. No one cares. Even if I go to do my MBA, like as long as you have above a 3.5, like no one gives a shit. And so I killed myself to do that. And marketing is all group projects. And so literally your whole grade is like contingent upon like 2 or 3 big group projects, and like I'm the girl who would, you know, like coordinate and do the PowerPoint and bring everyone together. So like so much pressure. I was like on these case competition teams, like multiple, and I would be traveling, and then I would be doing like executive director of FBU. Like we managed a team of like 15 people and like a $20,000 budget. Like that was something I couldn't fuck up, you know. And like the consulting association I was VP comms of, and just constantly so much going on. And I did like carnival, like such stupidity, like honestly, like
I mean, you gotta enjoy yourself at university.
no but I would like work all day and kill myself and then get like wasted and not sleep and then like wake up and
yeah. I can't advocate for that lifestyle.
It was I'm glad I did it because I made the most of McGill for sure, but I don't think it was really I think now I'm much better. I put myself under a lot of pressure still, but it's self-managed. And it's also like I have work, which is like my non-negotiable. I need to do well at work and I need to work my ass off. And then any extra time goes into Boldest and my friendships and working out and all these things. So it's not like I have like 8 commitments that I like can't drop the ball on, you know?
Yeah. There's kind of a lot of responsibility still, I would say, like from what I've like perceived, but it's more concentrated and you care about or it's like not that you care more, but it's like more. And it's
self-directed. Like for my group projects, like some of them were amazing, but like sometimes I was stuck with a group that I didn't want to work with and I was doing shit that I didn't care about, and I was like, great, I'm gonna kill myself, so what, so you could get an A, great, I'm glad. Like, so
cool. I'm curious, and this is something that I've asked the other people as well, because I think it's usually get really interesting answers. What is your big prefacing that, big preface, what is your kind of definition of success kind of for yourself? You know, like which is, I mean, there's a part of that that's always uncertain and, you know, things are going to change, priorities are going to change. But overall, you know, whether it be in career, in relationships, like romantically, friends, what's like the ideal for you? Where do you want to go?
I've thought about this a lot. And I don't want to say some bullshit, like, to be happy, because it's not. Yeah. Like, I'm going to be super honest about that. But totally. I think a lot of what was causing me pressure was setting myself these, like, specific goals. Like, I want to be promoted at this age. I want to be, like, a consultant coming out of university. I want to, like, all these things, you know? So, yeah. So my definition of success is I just want to be the best at whatever I do. And if that's, like, Boldest and creating this Instagram, like, I want to create amazing content and I want people to respect me. I want to show, like, I source my literal Instagram stuff. Like, I want it to be the most legit and credible
high
thing.
Quality operation.
Exactly. When it comes to, like, work, I just want to put my best sort of foot forward, and I want to get to a point where if I choose to do, let's say I choose to do consulting and I decide to focus on retail marketing, which is, like, what I hope to do.
Yeah.
I want to be the best freaking retail marketer that I could possibly be. Like, I want to be known as a specialist in my field and have people be like, okay, yeah, like, that girl, like, I don't care. I don't want to be famous, but I want people to be like, oh yeah, that girl knows her shit. Like, she's specialized in this thing and, like, her stuff's really good, you know? And I think that's really important to me. And it's not about, like, success is just getting, like, putting my best foot out there and then, like, getting validation that, like, other people respect the fact that I'm putting that much effort into the things that I do.
Totally fair.
Does that make sense?
That makes absolute sense. And I think it's, like, in every endeavor that any of us are going to go on in our lives, like, there's an element of it where it needs to be recognized. Like, people, like, of course, want to be appreciated for what they do. But, like, I'm going to challenge you in this, in this sense.
Yeah, please do.
Is there a version of success where you know you've done, like, you've put your best foot forward, you're happy with the work that you've done, but it like hasn't been recognized to the degree maybe that you've wanted it to? Is that, like, would you still classify that as success in a sense? Where, I mean, I guess, like, you can have, there's a lot of, like, counter thoughts to that, which is then maybe you haven't put your best forward, et cetera, but, like,
in a situation, I know I always do.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so there we go. So, like, a situation where you put your best forward, you've done everything you can, but it's not being recognized. But it, like, I feel like there's an element of where, and I don't want to, like, give advice, but, like, where, like, one should still be satisfied with their own efforts regardless of recognition or the lack thereof, you know?
Then I feel like maybe I'm not putting my efforts in the right place. And I know that's super fucked up, but listen, look, here's my, like, take on this.
Yeah, for sure.
If someone has a company, right, and owns a company, I'm not talking about, like, Boldest or anything, but, like, you start a company and then you put your blood, sweat, and tears into this, and no one ever buys your shit, right? Is that company successful? Like, if you can't keep it
Objectively,
afloat,
no. Yeah.
objectively, no.
Yeah.
So I love the way of thinking where it's like, oh yeah, but like what's like, I'm happy with the work that I did, but it's like, no, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, it's great that you are, but at the end of the day, like, we are in a society where the things that you do are validated by others. And I've thought about this a lot because I've struggled with like getting external validation, but I think I'm really comfortable with who I am as a person, and I'm happy with what I'm doing. And I think that's enough. And I think that if you put your effort in the right place, that will eventually lead to success. And everyone has a different definition of success, but I do think there is an element of external validation in success, because or else it's not success. Like, is this like, do I sound like savage? I'm not trying to.
No, not savage at all. That makes sense. I guess what I was thinking of when you were saying that is kind of like there's like two different like areas where it'll be like personal, which is where there's kind of ideally zero validation that I guess that you need ideally, which is I guess like mental, body, like that kind of stuff. And then everything like outside of that, like your ventures, like more like tangible things, like a business, things that like involve other people, obviously kind of do require that validation. Maybe. Do
you mean like success? I sorry, I think I misunderstood. I think I took it as like professional success.
No, I mean but just like professional success in general is where I was leaning with that question. But a huge portion of your success might be your professional success. But I guess I do mean like success in a more holistic way, where like, you know, everything goes exactly how you want it. Like, I mean, what does your life look like? You know what I mean? Like, what is like?
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually really curious.
No, that's a really good point.
Let's get fucking specific. I'm gonna make this even more specific. So it's fucking,
give it to me.
It's fucking 10 years from now.
Yeah. Okay.
And where are you living?
Like, that's a huge topic of conversation.
Yeah, like what does your day look like? Who are you spending your time with? What are you spending your time on in terms of like projects or companies or etc.? Like, let's get specific.
Really, I love this. Okay, I recently had this conversation with my boyfriend because I'm a planner. Obviously. Yeah. Yes. Okay. 10 years from now, what does my day look like? I own a townhouse in a major city. Potentially Montreal, maybe something like New York. The U.S. right now is kind of a
really down.
But like Toronto or like even like Europe, I'd be down. Own a house, have in 10 years. How old am I gonna be? 33. Shit. Like maybe a kid or two. I don't want really many kids, but a kid, let's say. I wake up early, work out, do my own thing, make breakfast with my husband and the kids, and like we get ready together, and then I go to my office, and it's the company that I own. And
let's go.
Yes. But it's
the
just
boldest
like,
headquarters, you know. It's
like whether it's boldest or whatever else, like I own something, and I have a team of like incredible people that I work with every day who like I trust. People think that I don't like teamwork, but I do. I work in teamwork every day. I'm just very specific in that, like, I expect a lot from people because I expect a lot for myself. Yeah. And so if you like show me that I can trust you, like I will trust you too much, you know. I just like have my guards on at first. But yeah, I have this like incredible team, and then we're doing whatever it is I'm gonna end up doing because I don't know what it is yet. And then my husband also has his company because he's for sure gonna have his company. And then we like meet up for lunch, get like Sweet Green or something like that, and then like go home at like a reasonable hour, and then like keep working through the night because that's what I love to do, and you know, spend time with my family and just like see friends and just make the most of what's going on. And I like, it's interesting that you bring that up because that's like in the context of that, my definition of success is just like being, I don't know, just being like always pushing for something more and just like always like pursuing my goals and just like never, like we were talking about that in relationships before where like you just feel like you settle. Like I never want to feel like I'm settling in life.
For sure. Totally get that.
And that's it. Like just constantly having that drive is kind of my like feeling of success. And like actually achieve, like always having the drive, and then like also like getting there, you know,
which is dope because that's really measurable. Like you can, that's
KPIs, baby, let's go.
Yeah. You can, I mean, I guess like always having that mentality is that's a really cool definition for success, because that's something, again, that's very measurable, and something that if you're honest with yourself is pretty easy to be hold yourself accountable for. Like we know like if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing or not, you know.
Yes.
So that's a really dope definition. Sweet. Cool. So that's a really awesome day.
Is that too extra?
No. That's amazing. That's really
Okay.
cool. I think that's really awesome.
And now I have my dog. I'm gonna have this dog for the next like 15 years of my life. I
Yeah.
don't know how I feel about that.
That's
but Oliver will be around.
Yeah, Oliver is this fucking 3-month-old long-haired Chihuahua, which
So
is
cute.
absolutely adorable. Very cute dog.
I like look at him and cry actually.
That's I'm happy for you. It's I've thought about getting a dog, but obviously in university it's super irresponsible.
You should though.
Nah, like I want the flexibility to travel and to.
Chihuahuas.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I'm not getting a Chihuahua. That's just not happening. I really fuck with German Shepherds.
I have a German Shepherd. My parents have a German Shepherd.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I've grown up around like dogs and cats, and my current situation is my parents live in BC on like a homestead, so we have horses and chicken and dogs and cats.
Stop. Where in BC?
It's a super small town called Kimberley, BC.
Okay, no,
it's like a small ski town. It's like right. It's super east. So it's do you know where Banff is?
Yeah.
It's like 2.5 hours south of Banff. Yeah, so
I'm so
it's like the
jealous.
Rockies are out like our one side of our house is just like the Rockies, like looking up. It's fucking beautiful.
Insane.
Yeah, it's a really serene place. It's really cool. But sweet, that's a really cool day in the life in 10 years. That's I'm sure.
Can I
it'll-
ask you yours? Is that like?
Sure, it's it might be less defined. 10 years, okay. 10 years is also, honestly, don't want to sound like a cop out, but it's gonna be very similar to yours.
No, totally.
So I'm 22, so in 10 years, let's say I'm 32.
Oh yeah, I turned 23 today. By the way.
This is your birthday?
Yeah, today's my
Holy
birthday.
shit! What the fuck?
No,
Yo,
it's okay. I
yo.
always plan a bunch of things to do, and today I didn't plan anything, and
Holy
we had
shit.
time.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday,
No,
Tamara.
well, thank you, but
Damn.
sorry, you made
That's
me
awesome.
realize because I was like, no, I'm 22 too, and I was like, nope, not
Oh
anymore.
shit. That's crazy. Happy fucking birthday. That's
Thank
awesome. I'm glad that you've chosen to come on the podcast on your birthday. That's awesome.
Of course.
But no, my day in the life in 10 years, fuck. Honestly, at this point, with the way North America is going, probably going to be in Europe. I have the German citizenship, so I can live and work anywhere in the EU, which is really dope.
I don't like you anymore.
So maybe somewhere, maybe in Germany, who knows? I really like France. But we'll see. It's like I kind of want to be wherever I have the most opportunity relevant to what I'm doing. But that's more important than like the actual geography of it, in my opinion. So I'm 32. Same thing. I have like a wife at that point. I'm married. No kids yet though. If ever, we'll see. But but like my wife is also super, like, she's entrepreneurship, or she's does something that she loves. Like she's got completely her own thing. Like that's the type of person that that I would want to be with, that has completely their own thing going on, and it's like you can come together at the end of the day or at the beginning of the day, and like you're that fucking like team. So definitely someone that's like ambitious and entrepreneurial in that sense. And I'd be down for like all right, we're talking ideal 10 years.
Yeah, do it. Tell
It's
me.
probably like a nice apartment, high up in like a high rise at that point, if I'm 32 and no family. I've got a German Shepherd, very well trained at this point, hopefully. Defending the property, and I'm going into my my offices, which is a company that's my own company as well. I mean, it'd be really dope if that's Immer Weiter. We'll see. We're kind of talking about my plans for the brand.
We're working
before.
together now. We're gonna find.
Yeah,
it's
we're
fine.
gonna collab.
This is
Stay
it.
tuned. And the end of the day, I obviously my team, the people I work with, are I really connect with. And the end of the day, I am maybe around like 6, 7, 8. I'm meeting up with a small group of probably like 5 to 10 friends who are like my really close friends at this point. And something that I've kind of learned throughout university is it's okay not to like everyone. It's okay not to like spend your time is incredibly valuable, not in the sense that like opportunity cost, like what you could be doing, but also just like for yourself, you need to be careful, which is a strong word, but careful about who you spend your time with. There's a lot of people who are gonna make you feel like you more drained than you did when you started the interaction. So
Totally.
it's super important that those people at that point in my life, and which I already mostly have, are people that I just forget about work. I'm able to turn off my brain for whatever I'm doing, business wise, and I'm able to just sit there and enjoy drinks on like a terrace somewhere with 5-10 really close friends, and also my wife, and then yeah, that's kind of the ideal day. So very similar.
That's super sweet. No, I think it's interesting that you bring up friends, because that's kind of, without necessarily going down this path, but something I've not struggled with, but something I've come to understand this past year, actually. I like was never someone who had a ton of friends. I was like always the weird. So, okay, I'm bilingual, like completely bilingual, but I went to elementary in English, and I was always the French girl, and then I went to French high school, and I was always the Anglo girl, and then I went to Cégep, and then I was like also the Franglish girl, whatever.
Yeah. So you never felt like you were quite like the demographic of where you were.
Yes, which
living.
led to me not feeling like I fit in like really anywhere. And I also like spent all my time reading and like doing like, I just like school, like school was my thing. And I was bullied a lot in elementary school.
Shit, I'm sorry.
No, it's totally fine. Nothing super dramatic, but I think I'm bringing this up because basically the reason I think I'm so ambitious and so, I was school focused, but I'm like career focused, is like I never felt like I fit in with my peers. And so I was like, you know what? If you're not going to like me because I'm weird or I'm too French or whatever reason, like I'm going to focus on like getting these like really good grades, and I'm going to focus on like this thing that like no one can never take away from me. And now like I feel like I'm in a point where I'm like really proud of where I've come in like my career. I'm just at the beginning, but like I'm where I wanted to be at my age. And like no one can take that away from me, And I think what I've realized is I have I've met people through time that I've really connected with, but maybe not in the context of a group or in the context of many people. But I think also friend groups are maybe overrated, or feeling like you fit in with like a demographic of people, but instead like literally finding people along the way who like energize you and who you spend time with, who excite you, and then holding on to those people. Yeah. And now I feel like I have this like incredible group or incredible like people that I like love to spend my time with, and like is it like a massive group that they're all friends together? Like no, but do I have some of the most fulfilling relationships I've ever had in my life with like incredible people? Yeah. Yes. Okay. So
so who's to say that that's less valuable than a friend group? Like it's not.
Exactly. So I don't know. It's like an interesting thing, because I feel like friendship was like lack of friendship was a driver, and now like friendship is something I cherish so much more because I'm like proud of who I am friends with. Yeah. Type of thing. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Weird tangent.
No, that's exactly what this podcast is for. So you feel like you kind of had a chip on your shoulder and you had something to like prove. A little bit. So, do you feel like that chip, is it all still there, or are you I think it's always gonna be there. Okay, I think it's and it's like, oh my god, it's like I feel so dramatic for like bringing this up because so many people deal with like so much worse things. Like, doesn't make it less valid though. Exactly. Suffering is relative, right? So exactly. And I think it's just like, it's not like I was like incredibly bullied or anything like that, but I just like, I have this like deep fear and insecurity of not being taken seriously. Okay. And like everything I do, I just want to be taken seriously. That's totally fair. That's it. I have some thoughts on that, but let's take a really quick break. Yeah. Super quick. All right, we are back. So we were talking about that, kind of that chip on your shoulder, and yes. What struck me in what you just said was, you have like, you really want to be taken seriously. Yeah, like cred. So, sorry? Cred, yeah. You want street cred in the. There you go. In your consulting firm. Yes. I was like, is he gonna say it? Are we? Yeah. No, okay. No. I mean, we're yeah. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking. Good. Cool. But no. So when you said you want to be taken seriously, my brain instantly went to imposter syndrome, which I also watched that video on. Mm-hmm. So how and. Actually, I don't know if these are related, but I also really want to ask you about like setting expectations for yourself and like internal expectations, because I feel like those are so much more intense than any expectation someone else could have of you.
Yeah,
but okay,
always.
Imposter syndrome, like what's been your experience with that? And because I feel like that kind of relates.
Yeah.
Like wanting to be taken seriously, and then also at the same time maybe feeling like you shouldn't be where you are. It's like it's kind of a hard combination, right?
Yes, I've struggled with imposter syndrome like so much in so many aspects of my life. Like I think I've struggled with it. My first encounter was probably like from a young age, just like the language thing, where like I never really felt like I fit in with the groups that I was a part of.
Yeah.
And then the second thing was like when I went to Marianopolis, like the socioeconomic background of the people I started hanging out with were not the same that like I grew up with. And I was kind of like, what am I doing here? And then when I came to McGill is actually the first time where I didn't have imposter syndrome, and I was like, no, like I fit in here. Like these are my people. And then when I started work, so as a consultant, your job is to literally sit down with like the C-suite of these like major companies.
Yeah.
And tell them how they can run their business
what
better.
they're doing wrong. Like, here's how you're fucking up, and here's how we're gonna fix it. Yeah.
Terrifying. And like people think that's like that's what we just say we do. Like we actually do that. Like I actually do that on a daily, well, no, maybe weekly basis. And so what has helped me realize, and what sort of has been the main thing why I don't have imposter syndrome as much anymore, is like you realize very quickly that like all of these super legit companies that you see that like growing up I was like, oh yeah, these major companies that have like thousands and thousands of employees like don't have their shit together. And like no one has their shit together as much as you think. Like I think as a kid or as a teenager you think adults are like 100%. So like legit.
You think having your shit together is like binary. It's like 0 1. So you're like 18 and then you're fucking 19, you're supposed to have your shit together. It's like, but it's not like that at all. Absolutely.
And then like I saw a meme, whatever, I saw a post on Instagram where like this generation is the first generation that are going to see that people in power aren't necessarily the best people to be in power. And you see people like Trump, like I don't want to get into politics, but like you see people like that like clearly are not, have the best interests of what they're doing at heart. And I think that was a big thing for me, where like I always felt like adults said the right things and did the right things and you should follow their rules. And it's like, well, like some are great and then some are really shitty and, don't have their shit together at all. So realizing that kind of helps put everyone on the same standpoint, and also like understanding that everyone has their specialization. Like some people can be really good at like poli-sci or like what like
sure.
law. Like you have specialists in all these fields, and like I do a lot of research and I'm pretty well read when it comes to like marketing and technology. And so like maybe I am like a good like I'm not going to start giving you advice on how you should raise your children, but like I might give you advice on how you can run your social media better.
For sure. I think that's one. I want to say someone gave me this advice, but I think I read it somewhere, which is humbling in a sense, is no matter where you are in the world and no matter who you're having a conversation with, and no matter how informed or how much expertise you have on something, there's always something that you can learn from almost anyone or from anyone that you talk to. But what you also, what I really like what you said about how people in power don't necessarily have their shit together. And that's something that was one of the reasons that I want to start this podcast, is kind of to, I don't want to use the word deconstruct, but kind of just like understand what people who are achieving conventional metrics of success like are going through or have gone through, which is like, you're a consultant, you're 23 as of today, like at a great company. You did a lot at McGill, like you've started your platform, and like there's still shit that like
I don't have figured out, and that's
like
okay.
That's totally okay. And that's I used to think that having your shit completely figured out is like a prerequisite for success, which it absolutely, of course, is not. Like there is a like a threshold at which like you have to take care of yourself and not focus on other things for a period of time. That's totally fair, but that kind of goes hand in hand. Like it's a continual kind of like a growth process, as fucking vague as that is, but it's true. Like everyone's
How can
always
I make this podcast with the most buzzwords possible?
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. I as a consultant, you're probably gonna appreciate this. I actually found this, one of my friends, or my boss actually, at this consulting thing I'm working at, sent this website to me. It's called Bullshit Generator, and you just click on it and it makes buzzwords. So like click that red button, and then it just like.
Wait, so Wait, do you know? Oh my god, end-to-end I'm definitely, these are great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start using these in my decks.
And it's just like the most kind of business
Strategize ubiquitous channels. Product. Oh my god. Brand efficient platforms. These are real things.
Yeah, I know. It's just,
so actually,
yeah. Good shit.
do you know lorem ipsum?
I mean, I know that because that's like the copy on a lot of deck templates.
It is the copy on like most things.
Yeah.
I found a hipster ipsum, and it does hipster words instead of the lorem ipsum. So it
instead
goes
of like the temp. Oh shit.
It's hilarious. It's like, oh, like cold brew, like chimichanga, like just like what, like Seattle, like all these things just like strung together. It's hilarious.
Let's show kombucha, like oat milk lattes. Just kind of freshen up your PowerPoint before you actually get into it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. I can't imagine making that. Can you like making the generator for
like
that?
Yeah. See,
You'd have to consult your Plateau friends, you know. That's a Montreal reference. Plateau is like this area in Montreal that's known for being, you know, you wear your beanie above the ear, you know, the rolled up.
I live in the Myland right now, so it's
similar vibe, right?
Yeah, hipster all the way.
Nice. Cool. I had some questions. Maybe I've run them all. Yes. Okay. I have one more question.
Do it.
Internal expectations. I've found that they're the biggest cause of mental stress to me, in terms of whether I like haven't done something in a day that's like towards something that I know I need to be doing. So I'm just curious as to.
Oh wait, do you mean like day-to-day internal expectations?
Well, I feel like day-to-day internal expectations ties to kind of like internal, like longer term. Like you can have like, okay, like I'm gonna start, like let's say before you started Boldest, you're like, I'm gonna start Boldest, and you're like, okay, today I know I need to like do the branding of the logo, for example, and you just like don't do it, you know, or something like that. Like internal expectations, I feel like are so much more powerful in my experience than any expectations that you perceive others might have of you. So I'm just like wondering, as someone in business, how do you deal with like those kind of internal expectations of yourself, and set them measurably?
So okay, I'm gonna start with this. I'm going back a little bit, but so people who have super high expectations for themselves, you think like tiger parents, right? Like there's got to be someone who made them be this way.
Which is
no,
I don't know, because like I want to hear like where you're going with that. But like my parents have always been like, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Me too.
they're like I don't like they like my, especially my mom, she's like, I just want to be happy, you know, like and healthy, all that stuff. My parents like have never pushed me towards anything.
My parents literally graduated university when they were like 30. Like they dropped out of school, both of them, and went back. And like
that's kind of a cool story.
My super like adore I'm an only child, so like my parents are my best friends. But like the level of pressure that I had as a kid was like zero.
Yeah.
Like I was like applauded my whole life. My parents were like, we don't get it. Like why do you get good grades? Like we don't understand.
Yeah. We had to take a quick break there for some technical difficulties, but we were talking about internal expectations. So like my parents have like, they've been, you know, they expect a certain thing with grades, like kind of held me to a standard for in middle school, but in high school they kind of like, my parents have always just trusted me.
Where did you grow up? Like in BC?
I grew up in California, and then when I was 14,
excuse me, fancy.
and when I was 14 I moved to BC and then finished high school there. My parents always trusted me in the sense where like I'd never did dumb shit, didn't have a curfew, but they just like knew I wasn't gonna like fuck up in that sense. So but anyway, so internal expectations, so if it doesn't come from parents, then like how do you handle that?
So I think it comes back to probably like the whole chip on my shoulder thing, if I'm being super honest with you. I think like when I was younger, I didn't really have as much expectations for myself. Like I wanted to be like an author, and then I wanted to be like a doctor, and then like through high school I started like wanting these like traditional like successful jobs and these things. And then now I think it's just so ingrained in me that I just like am an ambitious person. Like I never feel like what I have is like enough, and maybe that's a good thing and also kind of a bad thing, but I'm extremely intrinsically motivated. Like I don't care really about how much money I make, and I don't really care like whether like how many followers, like all of these things like aren't really don't really matter to me, but what matters to me is more like, I mean, I guess this is kind of an external motivator, but it's for myself, and I want to be like the best at what I do, and I hope to get external recognition for that. But like I want to push myself, and I want to constantly feel that hunger, and like that's what drives me. And so setting expectations just comes down to like having this be I don't even know how to answer your questions, because everyone asks me like, Tamara, how are you so motivated? How do you get so much done? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I just want to do a lot. Like, it's just the person
it's
I
intrinsic.
am.
Yeah. It's not, I guess it's hard to define in that sense if it's just there.
Yeah. And then like what I do struggle with, like that's for more longer term, like expectations for myself, and how they arise. But then like when it comes to more, short term stuff, like I am like a list maker, and I do set myself like goals weekly, monthly basis. But I try to be kind to myself when I don't achieve them. Like I'm a huge like people think I have my shit together. I procrastinate constantly. I never answer messages. Like I will sit in a hermit on my bed for like 12 hours and like make graphics. Like I don't like, I'm good at multitasking, but I don't like it. And so, I think being kind to myself, and then when I do like kind of screw up, not, not punishing myself in any way, like I don't know. It's
again super super basic, but like being hard on myself is something that I'm learning how to deal with. And there's this, I fucking saw this quote somewhere, and I'm not a quote person.
Me neither. Good. I hate quote people, but I do quote things sometimes.
But like there's few that I'm like, okay, like there's something to that. And it's like self-compassion will lead to greater accomplishment than self-abuse ever will, which was important. I know.
Sorry.
I know.
It's so true, though. I'm sorry.
It's disgusting, but I was like, holy shit, that's because it's easy to justify being hard on yourself. You're like, okay, this is gonna make me more productive. This means I'm actually gonna produce X, Y, Z.
But it won't.
But it won't. But that's the thing. That's why I was like, okay, like shit, there's something to that. Let me think about that, because it's like then there was nothing to justify it for anymore. It's like, no, this actually isn't gonna make me more productive, even if it's like harmful for my mental health in the short term.
Yeah, and so, like that's what I found is like when I don't sleep, like it's shit. I can do a couple days.
Sleep schedules, holy shit, so important.
I mastered during my time at McGill. I mastered the art of the all-nighter study. And I would just study for an exam overnight. Like that's what I did. Every time I had final, I would just pull and I never did study drugs, which I'm very proud of. But like I would just do a 12-hour and I would do the exam. But it killed me. I talked about it on my video. I literally got mono and a burnout 1 year after another. I'm 22 and I'm like a relatively healthy girl. Like 23. Sorry. But like, come on.
Yeah, I guess there's also sometimes you can kind of lean into that. Like I also do my shit last minute, and I actually, I was talking to a therapist about this in the fall, and I was like, I usually do my essays the day before, or like if they do at 5, I'll write them in the morning, but I don't stay up. Like I this sounds really short-sighted, but I was like, there's nothing more valuable than like my sleep. So I will like even if I have an essay due at 5 and I haven't written a word, I'll go to bed at like my normal time. Like I like that's it's not important enough.
I really respect that. But I see it's like it's like you do it for yourself.
Yeah.
You skip it once and then you're like, oh, it's fine, I can do it again, and then you keep doing it.
That's true. But also like I was like, okay, like maybe I can utilize like this like maybe I can like binge this energy of like having it do it the last minute. Which because I talked to my therapist and I was like, holy shit, like, I have this thing to do at 5 and I've taken notes before and stuff like that. I do outline like days before, and then the day of what I'll do is I'll like when I have an essay due, let's say it's due at 5, go to the library at 10. I'll put on my noise canceling shit. I'll put on a 2-hour track of like just EDM music.
Oh my god, you're that guy. No.
I'll put on a 2-hour Google timer.
Okay.
I'm like, by the time I'm finished, this Word doc is gonna have 2,000 words, or it's gonna have 1,500 words. Like this is
Are you
this
serious?
is it. Yeah, I'm serious. That's how I do it. That's how I write my essays. I'll have outlined for a few hours before and like done the readings and like taken notes, highlight shit, put that on a doc, and then I'll like split my window and I'll have, that one doc with like my notes, and then my Word doc on the other window and like the right like tile or whatever, and I put on that timer and I just like bang it out, and then
I
I
love
and then
that.
I need to do like maybe half an hour of editing of like adding bibliography, and then I'm like I'm done. But I'm utilizing like that energy, and then I'm like I get like good grades on my papers. Like as well. I'm also like proud of my writing. So like it works. I was like fuck, because what I would do is like I would do that, and then it would be problematic because I would associate guilt with having done that. Be like, like why the fuck you doing this, man? Like come on. Why don't you start it earlier?
But
Why
that's
don't
good,
you
though.
whatever?
If
But
you're
yeah,
able to do it.
yeah.
Like,
And then
there's
I was
nothing
talking to
wrong
my
with
therapist
it.
about that, and she's like, what's the problem with that?
If you do
get good
it,
grades,
yeah.
you're happy with how you're doing it. It doesn't take you that much time. Like, what's wrong with that? I was like, oh shit.
No,
You know,
if it
not
works
bad.
for you, like
Yeah.
10 out of 10. Honestly, like you just gotta find, and that's like kind of the thing is like you don't need to do what people say is right. You just gotta do what works for you, and like if it meets your definition of success, then like you're fucking fine.
Yeah.
Like I like procrastinating. I hate it, but I like it.
Yeah.
Like it's fine.
There's I feel like I've taken, you know, the occasional study drug in my first few years. I haven't in quite a few years, but I feel like that last minute like sensation is fairly similar to like why people would take those, which is natural. We don't need that.
No, I
But-
mean, if you take 12 cups of coffee, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure you're probably at
the same level,
Like
yeah.
that's which is what I
fuck, yeah.
used to do.
Yeah.
So when I was in university, and thank God my boyfriend's the same way, because I swear to God he would have broken up with me a long time ago. I would work. I would go to I had 8:30s every day because or else I would never get out of bed. Go to my 8:30s, and then work at Rothman until like 5 or 6, and then have my meetings, have like sorority meetings, have like club meetings, come home at like 8 or 9, make dinner, and then around like 9:30 or 10, nap for 30 to 45 minutes, and then get up, change clothing, shower, and then at 11 go to the library for like 11 to 4.
That's
Literally every day.
That's fucking disgusting.
I
That's
know.
Like, that's
I've like literally
what the
stayed in
fuck?
Bronfman to all night, where like
I'd
I
like-
literally like would walk and Premier Masson would be like making bread, and I would be like smelling fresh bread.
Jesus, like not disgusting like a physical sense, but like I'm just like I could never do that.
It killed me. It
That's-
actually did.
Yeah,
like,
fuck. That's intense. Holy shit. Well,
yeah.
not anymore. Now, yeah,
No,
you're onto
not
the business
anymore.
world, and it's all different now. But anyway, I think we're gonna end it there.
Mhm.
Tamara, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was absolutely amazing having you on. Fucking great conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and
This is great.
happy birthday again
Thank
as well.
you. Thank you.
And check out Tamara's platform on Instagram at be.boldest. A lot of cool
Yeah.
stuff, a lot of amazing graphics and content posting quite regularly. Do you have like a schedule, or is it just like
I do. I try to post every day, or like 5 times a week is my goal. Put stories every day.
sweet,
Yeah.
cool
a lot
stuff?
of planning.
Check her out there, and look forward to some Immer Weiter x Be Boldest or Be Boldest x Immer Weiter collaboration in the future. But
I'm very excited.
sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Great
Tamara.
project.